Tiger Rag Audibles podcast. This is episode 24. Today we have some pretty exciting stuff coming up, but first, I just wanted to touch base on some stuff going on LSU campus this past week. First and foremost, LSU baseball head coach Jay Johnson, who recently brought home the 2023 national championship, go Tigers. He's expected to be approved by the Board of Supervisors for a massive pay increase this morning and will become college baseball's second highest paid coach. This contract will be a 7-year contract with a total incentive package increased to a maximum of $460,000 per year, and the new contract with additional compensation and incentives and opportunities that could take him well over $2 million per year by the end of his contract in 2030. Another congratulations that we need to bring out. Huge congratulations to the men's golf team this past weekend. Their tournament closed out its fall schedule in style Tuesday afternoon, winning the Everett Buick GMC Classic in Little Rock, Arkansas. Their first round score of 273 Monday was the lowest of any team in the 54-hole stroke play tournament, so congratulations to them. Huge deal. They fired a final round score of 15 under 273 and wound up with a 22 under 842 at the Chennai Country Club. Huge congratulations to them, and another congratulations to our women's basketball team. They were voted number 1 in the preseason AP poll for the first time in school history. So excited to see what they've got going this year. Let's keep a good thing going for them. Speaking of basketball, women's and men's basketball will be making their first appearance onto the court within the next week or so. Stay up to date on what they're doing, and as always, good luck and go Tigers to them. And as far as LSU football news goes, Coach Brian Kelly gave an injury report in his press conference on October 19th. Emory Jones, sophomore on the LSU offensive line, he has a sprained ankle, so he'll be out this weekend, unfortunately, following with Makai Wingo, a junior who is a third-team All-American LSU defensive tackle. He's also dealing with a lower body injury, so he'll be out as well. But don't fret. Coach Kelly's got us. Replacing Wingo will be a combination of Jacobian Guillory, Jordan Jefferson, and Jalen Lee. And then replacing Emory Jones this weekend will be freshman Lance Hurd. Great experience for them to step out onto the field and for us fans to see what they're made of. Later on the show, News and Sports Director for Louisiana Radio Network, Jeff Palermo, and the Assistant Editor for Tiger Rag Magazine, William Weathers, will sit down with Shea Dixon, who covers for the Bengal on 3 to go over recruiting for LSU. Then Jeff and I will be wrapping it up with our predictions for October 21st game, LSU versus Army. But before we go into that, first, let's just hear from former LSU football quarterback Herb Tyler, who's also on the LSU pregame show that you can listen in on WWL Radio. We would also like to thank our sponsors. That is Pawpaw's Campers and Cars, pawpawsrvs.com, 1-800-728-CAMP, 1-800-728-2267.
Hey neighbors, we're not that far from where you are. Make that short drive to Pawpaw's Campers in Picayune and see our Wildwood, Catalina, Sportsman, and Zinger trailer lines and our Rockwood and Heritage Glen fifth wheel lines. From Houma to Hammond, Biloxi to Jackson, and Mobile and Pensacola, we're not that far from where you are. Come and see us.
You're gonna love the way we deal. Pawpaw's Campers City and Picayune. You're gonna love the way we deal.
That's a good RV, Pawpaw.
Hey guys, welcome back from the commercial. Here's former LSU quarterback Herb Tyler with Jeff Palermo and William Weathers.
Our first guest of the night, former LSU Tiger Herb Tyler, joins us now. You can hear Herb on WWL Radio before LSU football games. Him and Mike Detillier have a countdown to kickoff before the LSU pregame show on WWL, and he joins us here on Tiger Rag Radio tonight. Herb, how are we doing tonight, man?
Man, I am great. After that big giant win we had against Auburn Saturday night, I am just in heaven. I believe it or not, but I'm also in heaven too because I really, really enjoyed Jacques Doucet's documentary that he did about Cecil Collins. So that was pretty awesome too.
Yeah, I have not seen it. I certainly need to watch it. And congratulations to Jacques Doucet on being promoted to sports director at the WAFB. We'll have to get him on here soon to talk about that documentary. But Herb, how were you feeling going into that Auburn game? And, what were your big takeaways after watching it?
So, it was crazy because going into that game, I really felt great about the offense, like everybody else is, right? That's really not so much of a problem. We know we can score points. We know we can run with the best of them when it comes to the offensive side of the game. Now, defense, on the other hand, was a little bit shaky, really a lot of bit shaky. But I thought that they kind of woke up the previous week in the second half. And I was hoping and praying that they would carry that over to this game, in which they did. Now, again, we talked about this on Saturday. You had the two, it was the yin and the yang, right? The LSU's defense versus Auburn's offense. And I think that LSU's defense actually really rose to the occasion, and they played much better than we anticipated, as we anticipated going into the season. But this particular game, I thought that they really exposed Auburn's lack thereof of offense production, but they also kind of grew up a little bit. Some guys, some of the cornerbacks, the DBs play really, really well, a lot better than they have in the past. I know Coach Kelly kind of singled out a couple of them just to kind of, give them a little push, a little oomph. And then one other thing that I really liked was I really enjoyed watching the defensive line play. They played a much better game than they have been playing over the past, 3 or 4 weeks prior to. But they're starting to come into a little bit of their own. They're still got a long ways to go in order to really compete against the big boys. But I really felt really good about it. And one of my big takeaways was that on that touchdown to Malik Neighbors early on, I really enjoyed the way that the coaches kind of designed that play to get Malik one-on-one or in space by himself. I just hope that they can carry that to the next couple of guys, right? Aaron Anderson, try to get Brian Thomas Jr. locked up one-on-one some kind of way with some fade routes and things of that nature. But I really enjoyed that. So that was one of my really big takeaways from that game.
Hey, Herb, this is William. I wanted to ask you about Jayden Daniels in the sense that he's not a very outward, emotional guy that we know on the field, but the way he finished the game in Missouri and how much you felt like he further earned the respect of his teammates because he was hurt. He was, he missed one series, came back, led them to victory, and I think most people knew how he had to really dig deep to finish that game, and just like, man, that guy was willing to lay it on the line for us. And how much more do things like that resonate with teammates?
I can tell you, man, thank you for that question. I can tell you that his teammates already knew that about him. Those guys are already behind him 100%. They know exactly what they get out of him because I'm sure he's probably played injured, hurt, or anything like that last year. But this game, that showed a lot of grit for him. But I think now that, with that particular game and that situation against Missouri, the fans, everybody else saw it, the country saw it. It was a really gritty output by him, and just something that separates him from the rest of the pack, in my opinion, actually. Caleb Williams was the guy, but he kind of stunk it up a little bit this weekend, a lot of it. But I've always said that I thought that Jayden Daniels this year is the best quarterback in college football. His consistency is 100% there. His lack thereof emotion when he doesn't let things get too high or too low for him. But he also has really garnered the attention and the respect not only of his teammates, coaches, and the staff that are working with him, but the fans here at, the LSU fans, as well as the national media. And I think that you're spot on with the national media seeing what he did against Missouri and turning those guys on to what type of special player that he truly is. And one of his best attributes is the fact that he's an even keel kind of guy. He doesn't he doesn't show much emotion, but I'm telling you, because I used to be similar to that, I know deep down inside he is celebrating every pass, every touchdown, every run. He is truly celebrating it inside. He's just not, it just doesn't come outward because he still knows that, guess what, it's the next play, it's the next drive, it's the next, quarter, whatever that is. So he understands that, and that's a great attribute to have as a quarterback.
We're talking with the former LSU great quarterback, Herb Tyler. Herb, one of the things he needed to work on was push the ball down the field. How difficult is it to work on on being an accurate, deep passer because, I mean, he was on the money, especially in that game against Ole Miss, and that's why it's so unfortunate for the Tigers that they lost that game because he played such a great game that night. But the fact that he's improved in that particular area, how difficult was that for him to get to the level where he's at right now?
Well, I think that he's always been a really good deep ball passer. I think last year he was just, it was the first year inside of this offense with these players, with these coaches. So it was a little bit of timidness about him last year. But this year he's 1,000,000% comfortable with the offense. He understands the players that he's playing with, and he has a ton of confidence just to get rid of the ball. You remember last year he would hold on to the ball a lot and just, and then trusted his legs I guess a little bit sooner than we would like him to as a quarterback. But now he trusts his reads. He trusts what he sees. He trusts what he doesn't see. And he also gives these guys a great opportunity with 50-50 balls. And I think that's really more of what we're seeing right now. It's more of that confidence boost that he has in understanding the offense and really truly understanding the players that he's playing with and giving those guys opportunities.
Yeah, Herb, you kind of beat me to the punch. I was going to ask you if you can identify when you were your second full season in a system that the second, year two was just so much better than year one. And as you said, he's got the familiar faces with neighbors, Thomas and Kyron Lacey, all back, Mason Taylor, and that he just, he's just apparently he's put in a ton of work on his own with quarterback coaches out in California, and it's been an unbelievable finished product.
Well, it's just like anything else, right? If once you have something, I guess, down pat, as we say, after 1 year of being in the system, plus he did all kind of individual exercises and practices and coordination drills and different things like that during the off season, that just brings you to another level. And then, he gained a little bit of weight. He didn't lose any speed. He got stronger, and he mentally got stronger too. Because I think that he knew that he was in a situation where he felt like the team that he has around him, as far as players are concerned, is second to none. And then that the coaching staff was going to be able to put him in the right situations to be successful. And that part of that whole deal is intricate to it because, you just it's one of those things where you just have that moxie about yourself and you just feel like you could do no wrong. Even when you do wrong, it doesn't matter. You just forget about it, you move past it, and then you move to the next play. And you're so confident in what you can do in that second year of playing a position with the same coaches, with the same players. It's pretty good, man. And I you can see it. It just exudes from him when he just walks onto the field. It's just super, super duper confident.
Herb, heading into this game against Army, what's your thoughts about this? And, Brian Kelly talked about it on Monday. Hey, they can't – I know it's coach speak. You can't overlook this team, but this is tough, right? Because not only you got the Alabama game looming, you got that bye week. Players are looking forward to the bye week. How much of it is trying to stay focused here on this game?
In my mind, I would go back to the Ole Miss game, right? I would go back to the Florida State game. I would pull those games up, and I would challenge the guys. Hey, guys, look, this is what we did wrong. This is what we did not so good. This is what we did really great. How can we build upon that? This is the week where you can do that. And not that Army is any kind of pushover, but let's work on the things that we don't do so well, because this week is really going to be about point of attack and tackling, right, for the defense. It may not be so much about covering routes and things of that nature, which you still will have to do because they're going to throw the football a little bit. But this week is all about, getting to the point of attack and tackling and wrapping people up and getting them down on the ground. And then also being smart about or disciplined about being in the right place at the right time. Now, that's defensively. It's going. And here's the other kicker with the defense is you're going to have an Army team that's going to come in here that's going to be well coached. They're going to be a really great up front, in my opinion, because they do the same thing over and over again, and they really understand the technique and what they should do to be successful. So that's going to challenge that defensive line in that front seven, whether or not they're going to be playing in the other team's backfield or not, and that's going to be important. And then offensively, for me, I think it's just, once again, it's one of those things where let's build upon what we're doing. Let's continue this 48 points a game average that we've, been on now for this season so far. How can we continue that and maybe put up even more points? And how can we be a little bit more creative with our play calling, with getting certain people in the game and getting them involved in the game, things of that nature. And then always, special teams is something that you got to work on daily and weekly when the games are there. So any opportunities we have for 3 points, we got to be able to knock it down. And then we got to be able to catch punts and be able to do a fantastic job with returning them if we have an opportunity. And, I'd like to see a little bit more Caleb Jackson running the football personally. But, hey, look, Logan Diggs is the man, and he is the featured back, and he's going to get his carries. I just would like to see a little bit more Caleb Jackson.
We were just talking about that before you came on, Herb, about how fun he will be once he does become the featured back. Herb, we'll let you go on that. Great talking to you. Keep up the good work with you and Mike Detillier on Saturday afternoons, getting folks ready for the LSU games on WWL Radio, and we'll talk again later, my friend.
William, Jeff, Jackson, thank you guys for having me, man. Have a great night.
I'd like to thank Jeff and William for their interview with Herb Tyler. Check out Herb's pregame show at WWL Radio for all the LSU pregame information you could need and want. Next up, we'll have Shea Dixon talking with Jeff and William about recruitment. So let's get into that.
Joining us now here on Tiger Rag Radio, gracious with this time on a Tuesday night, and that is Shea Dixon, who covers LSU for the Bengal on 3. He joins us now. And Shea, what a weekend this past weekend for LSU. Not only a 30-point win over Auburn, but a bunch of recruits were in attendance for this game, including a 5-star quarterback who was there. And kind of give us the lowdown here on maybe some of the top prospects that were on the sidelines and watched the game from the stands and had to be pretty impressed with what they saw Saturday from LSU.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. There is no doubt that right now LSU leads the entire country in total offense, most yards of any team in college football. Brian Kelly said it this week. 2019 is so recent that he doesn't want people taking for granted what this offense is doing. What I can tell you is LSU recruits are paying attention, no doubt about it. And they had a stacked visitor list. And you mentioned that the headliner was Bryce Underwood, 5-star, number 1 overall prospect for next year, number one quarterback in the country, and is thought by the recruiting services, at least at On 3, to be one of the better quarterback prospects that's come out across the past decade. So that puts him, with a lot of pretty big names and lofty expectations, but he continues to hit every mark. Every team in the country is after him, but this appears to be an LSU-Michigan battle, and he's from Michigan but has made now 5 visits, 4 or 5 visits to LSU in the past 6 months. This was his first game in Tiger Stadium. Obviously sold-out crowd, 30-point win. It doesn't get much better than that, and but from top to bottom, it was the most impressive visitor list we'll see this season. And I'll also say right now, Texas A&M, a team that's reeling a bit with back-to-back losses, LSU had 3 of their commitments on campus. And just tonight, about an hour ago, one of them, Draylon Miller, a receiver who was on campus, decommitted from A&M. So I have LSU as the team to beat there. And we're starting to see, I think, beyond 2 commitments they already got this weekend, the fruits of their labor pay off with the amount of guys they got in and the impact the game made.
Hey, Shea, I wanted to ask you about C.J. Jackson. I know recruiting is a roller coaster. You're seeing more official visits taken in the summer, and they were getting their share of commitments in June and July, and then since Caden Durham, it's kind of been, well, the season's starting to play out, and they're having some visitors, but as you said, this was a kind of a crescendo, a big weekend, and then C.J. Jackson, hits. Can you just talk about just the timing between it? Just what kind of, I know there's some maneuvering on kids, trying to get kids in visits, but C.J. Jackson, decommitted from Georgia Tech, liked what he saw, and they obviously added a really 4-star rusher, edge rusher to the commitment total.
Yeah, this is big, Will. This is one of those things. I mean, he's a top 100 prospect on 3. He's the number 7 edge rusher in the entire country. And as you noted, they do a lot of summer official visits now. And it's kind of almost like one of those understood things between a college program and a high school program that, hey, look, we're focusing on our season, you're focusing on yours. Recruits visit on weekends, but not often are you doing official visits during the season. It's either happening close to signing day or in the summer, and Jackson was one of their summer official visits. And not long after that, he committed to Georgia Tech. But he's from Georgia. Education plays a big role here. His mom was big on Georgia Tech. But like you said, a week ago, he said, look, I'm reopening things. And then he came out and said publicly, went on record with On 3 and said, LSU is one of only 2 teams after I committed to Georgia Tech that never stopped calling me and stayed in contact. And that's what you have to do, because just because a kid commits doesn't mean he's signed. You continue to recruit that player. And if they do have a change of heart and say, I want to open things back up, you're right there front and center. And that's what happened here. LSU got him in on the first visit weekend after he decommitted. He then leaves campus as a commitment, and they need D linemen and edge rushers from the high school ranks. So this will be, I think when we look back at it, they'll sign 25 to 30 high school guys. This will be one of the top 10 players they landed in this class.
People come from everywhere to Pawpaw's Campers and Cars.
Only Pawpaw's Campers and Shit is Pawpaw's Campers and Cars of people. And we're gonna let it go for I forgot. Take the whole family over to Picayune. We got something for you. All right. What else we gonna say? PawpawsNicePrice.com. That's probably all we need to say.
Hey guys, this is Camryn Conner back with Tiger Rag Audibles podcast. I have Jeff Palermo with me. How are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing well. Cameron, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Today we're just going to go over the prediction for this Saturday, October 21st, the game against LSU and Army. I don't know how you're feeling about it. I know we have a 30-point spread over it, but I'm thinking it might be more of a strenuous game for our Tigers than they're expecting.
Yeah, it's, this is an interesting game because you don't know exactly how LSU is, how ready are they for this game. I mean, Coach Brian Kelly is saying all the right things. The players that we spoke with this week are all saying the right things, especially Will Campbell, who seems really motivated to win this game. But I think it's just hard. It's human nature. You just played 5 straight conference games, and now you're taking on an opponent who might not start their starting quarterback, who's one of their top receivers might not play. They got shut out last week against Troy. They've lost 3 in a row. It's human nature to just take the foot off the gas pedal. And it's not only just that Alabama's looming. You're probably thinking about the bye week. You might be thinking about the Halloween parties you're going to hit next weekend. There's all kinds of things as an 18 to 22-year-old person that crosses your mind. And heck, even adults, when you can lose focus in a game like this. But I still think LSU is going to be able to handle their business rather easily in this game. Maybe at first it's a bit of a sluggish start. Maybe there's a couple of drop passes. Maybe there's a holding penalty that puts the offense behind the chains and they don't pick up a first down. But to me, LSU should be able to, they should in the end be able to roll through this game. I got LSU covering. I think LSU wins this game like 45-10. I just don't, this offense is playing at such a high level, it's hard for me not to see them score at least 40 points in this game.
Yeah, I do think it will be a slow start. We're a slow starting team. I think that our boys are going to, after the first half, they're going to say, okay, time to pick it up, time to pick up the pace. I was thinking around the same shot that you were thinking, 40-14, something in that range. It'll be kind of difficult coming in because I know they're missing Emory Jones Jr. and then Makai Wingo this week, so I think that'll be more of a reason for there to be a slow start, but I think once they kind of get in the rhythm, they're going to push and then hopefully lead us to 40-14, a win.
Yeah, and I think the key here is a guy like Jayden Daniels who's playing at such a high level. And for him, I know there's not a lot of he's not going to sit there and say, I'm trying to win the Heisman Trophy, right? He's never going to come out there and say that because he's going to put team over individuals. But he still needs to keep putting up numbers in order to really I mean, he's still kind of in the middle of the pack when you look at all the different projections as far as who's in the running for the Heisman Trophy. So he's averaging 401 yards of total offense. I think he needs to, and it might be difficult because he's not going to play the entire game here. Eventually, they're going to put in Garrett Nussmeier, and when that happens, we don't know. But he still needs to put up big numbers. Brian Thomas is going to want to put up big numbers after making only 2 catches last week. I think you're going to see a ton of different running backs play in this game, and those guys are going to want to put up big numbers. I think this offensive line wants to continue to do what they've been doing. Defensively, the improvements that they've made, I think this defense is still focused in on improving. So I think there's enough attention to detail in this game that it would be a shock to me if we're sitting here in the middle of the third quarter and the game is, a 2-touchdown game and Army's got the ball and they can cut the lead to 7 points. That would be shocking to me if that occurred.
Yeah, I just can't imagine LSU losing that much of the ball. But I agree with you. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. I think there's so much respect on the field, being as who we are playing, that it's just going to be a fun and very clean game for us to sit there, even as fans, to watch. I'm expecting the atmosphere to be really great in Tiger Stadium this weekend.
I think so, too. And I was surprised. You would have thought that somewhere along the line, especially back in the heyday, if you can call it the heyday, but I don't know, back in the 50s, 60s or whatever, when Navy and Army were more of, football powers, that LSU never hosted a U.S. Service Academy school. This is the first time they've ever done that in football. You would have thought at some point Air Force or Navy or even Army would have played at Tiger Stadium before. But no, this is the first time. So it is a little bit of a special non-conference game, and I think the players are looking forward to playing a prestigious university, prestigious school like Army.
I agree. All right, well, I guess we'll see what goes on this weekend. Go Tigers, wishing our boys luck, wishing Army luck. I want to thank Jeff. Thank you for coming in on the show, giving us your thoughts on this weekend.
All right, thank you, Camryn.
All right, well, that wraps up our podcast for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, episode 24. This is Camryn Conner. I would like to thank Jeff Palermo and William Weathers for coming in on the show and all of our other special guests that we had today. It was a very fun episode to film and to talk about and to get everybody's opinions on. I would also like to thank again our sponsors, Pawpaw's Campers and Cars. That's pawpawsrvs.com, 1-800-728-CAMP, 1-800-728-2267. All right, well, I hope everybody has a good and happy and safe weekend. I hope that everybody is tuned in. Kickoff times tomorrow night, October 21st. Let's see how this rolls out. Go Tigers.